Hello and welcome to the Body and Mind Health and Wellness Online Directory Members Interview. I am Nirvana Lange, and coming up in today's conversation, I'll be talking to Lior Losinsky, and he's going to tell us more about the Best Life Clinic. Good morning, Lior. How are you doing?
Good morning, Nirvana, and thank you so much for giving me the privilege of having this time with you. I appreciate that.
I'm looking forward to finding out more about you and stepping right into that. Who is Lior? And, I know that you wear many hats, as I saw on your members page on the Body and Mind website. You've got your clinic and your network marketing. But give us a little bit more about who you are and how did your journey start? What are some of those life events or moments where you go, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to offer? Tell us a little bit more about you.
Perfect. So I think growing up, I've always been focused, if I look at my core values on helping people really looking at improving people's lives. So even as a kid, that was pretty much how I'd always be there trying to coach people, often to do things that I couldn't do myself. But I knew the technical aspects behind that from a mind or a physical side of things. I've always explained that one of the turning points in my life actually happened. I was in middle school in Cape Town, and we had to do a science expo, and I didn't know what to do. And I landed up having this synchronistic meeting with this gentleman that worked in the media center in our school, and he said, "Why don't you do a project on Kirlian photography?" Now, this was in the early 90s, no internet, no Google. I had a little thin book that he gave me, and he said, "Why don't you do this?" Maybe he wanted to explore it more. So I took it home to my parents, and I was always interested in the biology and the sciences and those sort of things. And I said to my parents, "I'm going to do this." They said, "What?" I said, "I don't know, but we're going to do this." But what happened was, the reason why I bring that in is because I actually got to build a Kirlian photography machine that could photograph. For those that don't know what Kirlian photography is, it's basically using high electrical frequencies photography. It was a Russian man, Dr. Kirlian, and he was using it for diagnostic and for treatment purposes. Basically, in a very simplistic way, photographing auras of the body, but they were light, sort of the light waves coming out by putting frequencies in. My dad had a dark room in his house, so I went to libraries, pulled out whatever I could find, built this thing. Couldn't work on humans because it was like 20,000 volts. It was just too much. But I was able to take photographs of inanimate objects, of plants, and really got to see light emitting at beautiful frequencies. I took black and white photographs, but I got to see some incredible things as a very young teenager of what life actually is. And it was way more than our eyes could see. There were frequencies out there that we couldn't see. And the thing that really got it for me was something called the phantom leaf thing, where you cut the leaf in half, you take the photograph, and you see the full spectrum of the leaf in the photograph because the frequencies were still there. I knew nothing about it. Landed up going to school, handing this project in. They didn't know what it was. Went to the National Science Expo and won a gold there. And I was like, okay, so this actually is something real, And so that got me into the biology side of things. And then I wanted to go into the life sciences, and I became a physiotherapist. But it wasn't complete because there you're only dealing with the physical. And I wanted to deal with the unseen. And I grew up around a lot of anxiety around my home, not for any other reasons other than just the general anxiety that goes on around there. And so I started looking for techniques to deal with my anxiety, my final year of physiotherapy, and landed up discovering a technique which people know now. It's a tapping technique called emotional freedom technique, but this is the early 1999, around there. So around 2000 actually. And so it was very new. I tested it out, it worked beautifully, and I said, this is what I want to do. I want to help people deal with the challenges that I'm also dealing with. And I started working on myself, and I opened up a clinic straight away. I didn't know what I was doing, but I wanted to help people with trauma and phobias and all these things that would hold them back from living, the best version of themselves. And then over the years, working in the life sciences, working a little bit as a physio around the world, and then having access to training with some of the top people around, around when I lived in London. I started training in multiple different fields within the meridian energy therapy space. And I had a very, very strong mentor in South Africa who passed away a few years ago, but she basically took me by the hand and showed me everything, alternative therapy. She was she was like a polymath in alternative therapies, if you can say it that way. She knew everything.
What was her name?
Laura Nordling, the late Laura Nordling.
Okay.
She was a homeopath. She was a holographic repatterner. She rolled everything. And so she basically taught me the essence of how the shifts happen. And I worked a lot with her, and then we became very close friends, and we did a lot of work together. And that was kind of the essence of where I started learning how to deal with people. And so that was my passion, always being able to help people. But for me to get to the end client who needed us, I needed to show that the stuff worked. It was scientific. The experience was real. It wasn't that you had to sort of imagine that it could happen. And so, I come from both a science and an alternative background, in both sides. So, and that's kind of been my journey. I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm very passionate about doing it, properly and about getting the job done, but it comes from a deep understanding from my mentors, from my personal experiences, and also from my mentor teaching me, go train with the best. Don't train with the second best. Go, and if you travel around the world, go find some of the great, the best teachers in your field. And I've been fortunate to do that living overseas as well. It's made a big difference in my life.
That's awesome. Wow. What a wonderful story. And I just love how these moments happened, that the teacher was giving you this book, and, and it's like, I could see the timelines. You could have gone this way, and then the book comes in, and then the timeline completely changed. And here you are, experiencing a beautiful timeline in your own experiences, which is wonderful. And then, the biggest thing is us wanting to fix ourselves, if I use the word fix, like really loosely, and then becoming the teacher, and that is what is so beautiful, because we can really speak from a place of understanding, of experience, and of compassion of what people that we are working with goes through.
Right.
Great. So now let's get into the business side of things, and tell me about your clinic. Is called the Best Life Clinic, and I want you to tell me what you have to offer there. What is it that people come and see you? What modalities do you use? Obviously, you've mentioned something like EFT, and I'm sure that there's much more that you bring to the table.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And it is very powerful how those little experiences of life really take us on our journey. It's really an incredible map. When you go back, there's no way you can plan out that map. But you mentioned something very, very important, because the Best Life Clinic is about living your best version of yourself, not the best version that I or anybody else thinks about you. And the whole journey, my philosophy is be the change you want to see in the world. And I know that's used a lot, but that's part of my philosophy in bringing to my clients is that there are a lot of people that are very good technically in what they do in all aspects of this world, but it says, do as I say, not do as I do. And, for me, I believe that we were born perfect. We're born in the perfect vision, and then we learn over the period of time. We layer upon ourselves, and we forget our perfection. Now, what is perfection? That's a personal journey of where you want to go. But we learn that. So the Best Life Clinic, in its essence, is really unraveling that mud, that dirt, those belief systems, those traumas, and everything that clouds or covers your essence, your perfection of who you are.
So just a quick question, Lior, how do you do that? So what do you do to do that?
Of course. So for me, one of the first experiences of that was realizing how much childhood and lifetime traumas, the big traumas, the big T's, the mini T's, how much they so heavily affect our perception of life going forward, and how they destroy our personal self-esteem, our self-belief, and the essence of who we are. So what I do, whatever techniques I use, they're all within the meridian energy therapy techniques. It's like emotional acupuncture without needles, how we explain it. What we do is we release and heal and let go of all those traumas that have come through one's life in order to experience what life is like without those traumas. And that is closer to, is the journey ever complete? I doubt it. But, that allows you to experience life closer to who you are, to your essence, which is joy, personal abundance, more closer to love, closer to happiness, closer to, even your purposes and your passions in life. And most importantly, being able to eventually become an independent, self-directed thinker. Because when you have belief systems on top of you, and when you have other people's realities, and you have to wear this to school, and you're this race, you're this religion, you're this color, you're this sex, you're this age, you're this training, you come from this background, those are all the junk that gets layered upon us, and we're not thinking for ourselves anymore. And so to layer that all off and then become an independent, self-directed thinker, then none of the junk around the world or from other people can ever stick onto us and make us decide our journey. It's a challenging journey, but it's an exciting journey. So the techniques I use are meridian techniques, like you've heard of emotional freedom techniques. I use lots of other of those techniques. It pretty much explains that trauma and all these high-end emotional experiences that are causing disruption to ourselves is just a disruption in our body's energy or electrical systems. We smooth them out. The emotions and the traumas and everything that is attached to that collapses. It smooths out. It's like a short circuit in our systems.
Yeah.
Once that resolves, the person can feel it literally disappearing, and it doesn't come back if you get the entire route.
That's amazing.
That's how I work.
I love what you were saying, all this junk, because for me, the freedom of self is discovering your sovereignty. And your sovereignty is about, regulating your own life without having all of this labeling and, corporations or whatever else that decides who, what, where you are. And so that's very, very important. And
Nirvana calls them the I am.
That's it.
They're
Exactly.
The I am.
The I am. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the I am. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wonderful. So if there's anything else you want to share with regards to your clinic, I can maybe 30 seconds and then let's get into contact details.
Perfect. So, if there's anything holding you back from living your best life with regards to the traumas that phobias, fears, anxiety, or you just feel that there's a level of frustration holding you back. You may not know what's holding you back. You may not know what's frustrating you, but you can feel it inside. There's a level of angst, anxiety, frustration, fear, sadness, things that don't match up to your reality, or you want to shift your reality. We can always start off with end in mind and work backwards on that. So, that's what we offer. Everybody deserves to live their best life. Unfortunately, not everybody, comes to that realization, early enough. So, I can't heal anybody. I'm not the healer. The person in front of me is the healer. All I can do is facilitate that. They've got to be in the room and make the decision that they want to start moving towards living a better life, hopefully towards living their best version. And that's a journey. It might start with me. It might end with me. I might be somewhere in the middle of that journey.
Wonderful. That's beautifully, beautifully put. I love it. Right. So, Lior, give us how people can get hold of you, your contact details, social media, anything. And where are you based?
So I'm based in Bryanston in Johannesburg, but I've always worked online. So even before Skype, I was doing telephone calls, sessions, and then Skype came along, and now Zoom is there. And then with the way things are right now, a lot of people are just wanting to stay, in their space. They're getting more comfortable. So I am global. If you've got an internet connection, we work. I don't have to be working on you. I facilitate the process. You work on yourself. I teach it to you, and then that gives you a better opportunity to take those exercises. You know how to use them for yourself going forward. Okay. But if you want to see me in person, I am in Bryanston, in Johannesburg. Contact details, my cell phone number is 071-316-8450. My email address is lior@bestlifeclinic.co.za. I'm on Facebook. I keep a Facebook account for the Best Life Clinic. You can search for me on there, and I just try to keep it as relevant to broad-based health and wellness and how I how I live my life and my personal health interests. And otherwise, most people come to me through word of mouth because it's an experience, as opposed to, I mean, it's difficult for me to, just like you can't have a haircut over the telephone or over this call, most people need to experience it and they share it with other people.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. And, we are so happy that you have decided to join the Body and Mind Health and Wellness Directory, which is the largest online directory for people like yourself. And we're looking so forward to helping, you going out there, and we're having this wonderful partnership in bringing forth this amazing work. So you can go to bodyandmind.coza, or you can go to the bodyandmindblog.coza, and you can search Best Life Clinic or Lior in the search bar, and you can find all the contact details, links to his website or social media pages. We also have the Body and Mind Health and Wellness Directory app that you can download in your Apple as well as in your Android Play stores, and again, interact with us that way. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and ring that little bell so you can get notifications. And please do share it with people that you think can gain benefits out of these conversations. Welcome, Lior, to Body and Mind, and thank you so very much for sharing your beautiful work with me.
Thank you, Nirvana, and thank you so much for having me on Body and Mind and on this interview as well. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.